Final round of the 2022 season in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and a potential championship decider. The only man who can seal the deal in race one of the Indonesian round this weekend is Hakim Danish. He's the man who has the advantage. 4 wins in the last 4 rounds, and a double winner here earlier on in the season. The series leader, the favourite to get this title over the line in 2022. He starts from the front row of the grid as far as his championship rivals are concerned. Ezawa lines up from P5, the middle of the second row, and Gunmie didn't have the best of Superpole sessions, and he will line up from the middle of row 4. 11th place on the grid for Gunmie. Championship leader Hakim Danish. Veda Pratama then, the form man of the last couple of rounds. 3 podiums and a first race win in that spell. Mastered drying conditions at the Thai Grand Prix and won by an impressive 7-second margin. Out of title contention though, because he missed both races here in Mandalika earlier in the season after a crash in qualifying. Yeah, the youngest rider in the field and a very strong rider as well. Like I said, that win in Buriram is very impressive from Pratama, but he's got a big future ahead of him potentially. Race 10 of the 2022 Asia Talent Cup gets underway. There was a long hold there. Riders now in the drag race down towards turn number 1. Veda Pratama, your pole sitter on the number 7, sweeps across the path of Carter Thompson, defend the race lead in towards turn number 1. Fetasan trying to make progress as they bunch and bore their way through the opening 2 turns. Hakim Danish has survived that successfully. So the top 3 still as they were off the line, with Veda Pratama, the home representative, leading the way on lap 1. Yeah, Zawa on the number 21 machine are second in the championship standings. He lost a couple of spots in this opening lap as well for the second row of the grid. Shinya Esawa, who started off in P5, has dropped as far as 8th position by the looks of things as they try to go side by side, getting slightly offline in these track conditions, slightly treacherous as we've seen in the 2 World SBK races this afternoon. And for Gunmie, our third in the standings, he's up there into 9th position now, trying to make some more moves. And you can see Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine in second spot, really putting some pressure on Pratama for the race lead. Fetasan making another lunge there to the inside of Hakim Danish, but not quite able to find his way through. It's Nicholas who is directly behind, who's the rider who's made progress at the expense of Ezawa, who's just recovered P7 ahead of Ray Wakamatsu. Gunmie, as we've said, climbing from 11th on the grid and into P9. Ray Capfadilla directly behind him, and Hafi in 11th position as we watch the duel now for the top spot as Pratama comes under increasing pressure from Carter Thompson. Yeah, Thompson's in a hurry to get himself into the race lead here, and you can see in 3rd position now Hakim Danish knows that this is a real opportunity for him as well. He can sense that he can get to himself right to the front as well. So keep an eye on the number 13. He's been very fast in the second half of this lap, but Carter Thompson looks like he's getting bottled up a little bit by Pratama in second. Hakim Danish keen to succeed where he failed a year ago. He was joint 3rd in the championship coming into the Indonesian round last season in crowd of race 1, and was withdrawn for the remainder of the weekend through injury. He was a double winner though in the Indonesian Grand Prix round 2 of the Asia Talent Cup all the way back in March, so he knows the fast way around this place, and for the moment holding station in 3rd position. Yeah, dominated that weekend as well, winning the first race by about 15 seconds, so you don't tend to see too many winning margins like that in the ATC. It is Veda Pratama though who leads for the moment, ahead of Carter Thompson in 2nd. It's Danish in 3rd, Fetasan in 4th, and they are now beginning to break away from Nicholas, the Australian, in 5th position, who's dropped half a second down. So you'll lead Portet trying to escape away. Yeah, and those leading 4 are opening up that bit of a gap now, half a second back to Nicholas, and losing more and more time on this lap as well. This isn't a track where the slipstream really comes into it in the same degree as in a lot of other ATC races. If you're looking at somewhere like Sepang with that very long back straight and the front straight as well, it means that the slipstream is really important. Here it's been maintaining that momentum. As the leaders make their way through then turns 11 and 12. Turn 11, we've seen plenty of incidents throughout the weekend. Asia Talent Cup has been pretty clean cut though in terms of incidents through free practice and qualifying practice as well. And hopefully I haven't just put the curse of the commentator on for the remainder of race 1. Yeah, we've seen a lot of riders running off track this weekend, but not too many actual incidents of crashes, and certainly that's what you hope to see. You want to see good racecraft at the front of the field
from all these riders. And I have to say, Pratama right now doing a good job just to hold on to that lead.
Another position gained by Kembali, important in the context of the championship, of course. Needs to narrow that gap to Hakim Danish and Shinya Ezawa in order to take the fight to the final day as far as he is concerned. Veda Pratama then setting the pace up at the head of the field, ahead of Carter Thompson at the end of lap number 2 by 0.2 of a second. Hakim Danish 0.3 behind the race leader, so only half a second covering your lead quartet. Shinya Ezawa bringing the group back to the lead quartet now. So that gap narrowed to 5th position as well.
Yeah, brave riding from Ezawa on the number 21 machine. He saw Nicholas trying to get down the inside of him into turn 1, but he knew that they'd been losing time the last lap and a half, so he didn't want to give up that position. And Ezawa on that number 21 machine has been able to hold on to 5th position, and now he's in a position to be able to latch on to the back of the lead.
Fastest man last time around was Mie on the number 5. Mie, who started a little bit out of position compared to what we're used to seeing him down in 11th position. He's already had 5 podiums through the 2022 campaign, and is one of the riders who is experienced at this venue from our first visit in 2021. Actually had 3 third places here a year ago. Yeah,
and Gunn looked very impressive here all the way through last year, and you can see that number 2 running out wide. That's Wakamatsu.
Wakamatsu, who was directly on the tail of Kembali at the start of this lap, so that may well have cost him a couple of places, certainly put him offline.
Yeah, once you run out onto that curve, we've seen so many riders in the Super Sport class this week in particular really struggling to get the bike back on the racetrack and to keep yourself without losing too much ground. It does look like he's lost a lot of ground at that mistake.
Yes, Andres Banto coming through for 8th position then on the tail of Kembali. He's lost a position, he's lost time more than anything, as you say. Bunching up between the top 3 as Hakim Danish tries to close down Carter Thompson. Fetasan now with Ezawa right in the mix. The 2 of them, as Ezawa on the number 21, having fought his way through. Ezawa then the man to watch as they go side by side for 2nd position. The start-finish straight, 723 metres here at the Mandalika International Street Circuit. Danish gets up alongside Carter Thompson, and for the first time we have a change among our provisional podium trio.
Yeah, nice move down the inside. Carter Thompson not able to attack back into turn 2, but you can see there for the number 13 that Danish just runs in a little bit maybe into 2, and maybe that's going to create an opportunity for Carter. Last time around though, Ezawa into that final sector we saw into turn 15, he was able to make a move in for 4th position. He did that without costing himself time. He was the fastest rider on the track last time around.
As we see Ezawa then having made that progress on Fetasan, who's relegated down to 5th position, and the pair of them are very shortly going to have to watch for Kembali. Now he's got 0.4 of a second between himself and Fetasan in 5th position. You'd expect some of that to be eaten up in the braking zone towards turn 10. 3 heavy braking zones here in Indonesia. The most notable decelerations into turns 1, 10 and then 15, 16 as we see them making their way through turns 11 and 12. The infield as Fetasan. So it's turned into a 6-rider group at the head of the field. See if Rizwanto can try and make up any of that ground. At the moment, he's around about half a second a lap slower than the riders around him, and that's what's enabling them to break away. And then a separate 3-rider train now has appeared. Daki, Wakamatsu and Nicholas well clear of Hafi, who's just got through on Fadilla for 11th. So the field beginning to splinter now on lap 7.
Yeah, and in this lead group, Hakim Danish on the number 13, our championship leader, he is the slowest rider in that group. So the other riders have been able to close up onto the back of him, and certainly for Ezawa and Kembali, they need to clear him now.
As we watch on lap number 7, it's Veda Pratama who leads the way, ever trying to open up that margin, but unable to do so. And of course, inevitably, the slipstream advantage, particularly down your start-finish straight, 723 metres, remember, allows everyone to come back onto his tail. But so far, haven't been able to really strike on Pratama to wrestle that race lead away from him.
He's impressive as well. He's keeping a very cool head here. He might be the youngest rider in the field, but he's already a race winner in ATC. And in this race, he's been doing a very good job just to make sure he's able to keep all this group behind him.
Yes, Veda Pratama, just 13 years of age. He'll be celebrating his 14th birthday later on this month, and it is the number 7 who holds things up at the top of the field. He's gone a little bit wide there. That's going to put him offline. This might be the best opportunity yet for Carter Thompson to make the move into the ever-tightening turns 15 and 16. Thompson on the number 6 bike there in 2nd place, has to hold station for the moment at least. Danish and Ezawa still right behind, as is Kembali, the other of the championship contenders. Our 3 title contenders, 1st, 2nd and third in the standings, are third, fourth and fifth in this race respectively.
They've made a little bit of a mistake in the middle part of this lap, and that's why he's lost a bit of ground to Ezoa. But Ezoa with a new fastest lap of the race as well on the number 21 machine, so that's also what's caused that to stretch out. But Kembali has given up 7/10 of a second now, and it looks like he's given up another position as well behind them.
Pedersen then coming through on the number 20 bike. We'll see them side by side as they make their way off turn number 1 and in towards turn 2. It's Ezoa making up the ground. He has been released from Mir and Pedersen, and those two, the 20 and the 5, rather need to work together now. 8/10 of a second that gap, and that's the kind of margin where they can begin to break away. We could be looking at a 4-rider group now to contest those 3 podium places.
Yeah, it does look like we're moving into that territory now, which also leaves us with a 2-rider group for the championship standings as well, because for Kembali, he needs to win this race to really have a chance of staying in title contention.
Yes, could be that lap 7 of race 1 is determinant in terms of his hopes for the championship, as Ezoa makes a lunge down the inside in towards turn 10 and will go from 4th to 2nd if he can get it stopped. The other riders are going to have the momentum coming off the turn. Carter Thompson comes back at him and pulls alongside to recover 2nd place. Still good enough for Ezoa to move from 4th to 3rd and in front of Hakim Danish. And if things were to stay as they are at present, the two would be tied on points with a single race remaining.
Yeah, of course, Hakim with 4 race wins already this season. He'll have the count back, but we still have 1 more race remaining in this as well. And you can see for Hakim Danish on the number 13, he's going to just try to make sure he's able to settle into this group. He knows that there's only going to be this 4-rider group fighting it out for the race win right now.
Yes, in terms of those race victories, the only way that Shinya Ezoa could manage to finish this season on 4 is if he wins both of the 2 remaining races. Thompson running wide there through turn 16, manages to gather it up, rather blocks the path of Shinya Ezoa, and that allows Hakim Danish to come back through for 3rd position. New personal best lap on lap 8 from Veda Pratama, 1 minute 43.7. The other riders in that leading group in the low 1 minute 44s, and that's allowed Pratama to break away 8/10 of a second clear up at the head of the field. Is getting scrappy in 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions, and Pratama's fully capitalising.
Yeah, for Pratama, he's already a race winner at Buriram this season. He's now got a 2nd in hand over the rest of the field. That can be all the difference that he needs, and certainly if you see Thompson, Danish and Ezoa continue to scrap with each other, all that's going to mean is that Pratama's going to be able to run away into the distance.
Of course, we're looking at the home rider as well, Veda Pratama, who missed the 2 races earlier on in the season, suffered a crash in qualifying, didn't make the same mistake earlier on today. He was able to qualify in P1, and he is leading in P1 on lap 9 of 16. More than half race distance completed. It's Pratama in front, Danish coming back through there on Carter Thompson for 2nd place. That's Shinya Ezoa in 4th position, and a couple of quick position changes, and that live championship we were talking about just a moment ago has turned on its head, and there'd be a 10-point gap between the two of them now if things were to stay as they are.
Yeah, I think we can rest our mental arithmetic.
Home success for Indonesian riders at the Indonesian round, with Veda Pratama having already claimed the pole and looking good for a race victory. Right behind him, Carter Thompson back in front of Ezoa and Danish. Worth mentioning the fight further back down the order, as Rizwanto has now come through for 5th position, still scrapping with Kembali, and Rizwanto, who's the closest we've really got to a local rider, born on the island of Sulawesi to the northeast of Lombok, 16-year-old Indonesian, managed his first top 10 finish at his home Grand Prix back in March, but in line to pick up his best finish yet if he can hold on ahead of Kembali in P5. So credit to the Indonesians, they're doing well in their home round in 1st and 5th places here. Ezoa going to the inside of Thompson, recovers 2nd place.
Yeah, you can see for Thompson, though, he's going to have that drive to be able to keep that number 6 out in front. He's had a pretty solid season in Europe as well, a lot of top 10 finishes in the European Talent Cup, so it's been a busy year for him, and one of those riders that's been double duty in Europe and the Asian Talent Cup.
Danish now comes through on Ezoa, and this is crucial in terms of the championship. Fastest lap of the race so far, set by Ezoa on lap number 7, but he's had his hands full with his title rival since then. Catch a flash of Veda Pratama, but he is now 3 seconds clear, so he's out of the race, realistically speaking. This is just for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, as we see Thompson still leading Danish and Ezoa. Pedersen now coming through on Rizwanto. So Rizwanto, just a couple of moments ago, I was saying looking good for his best result yet in P5, suddenly finds himself in 7th position. That's another 3-rider group further back.
Yeah, and that can just as easily change as the 3-rider group for 2nd, 3rd and 4th as well. But at the front of the field, Pratama opening up that healthy gap. It is still Carter Thompson up there in 2nd spot. But look at Ezoa on the run down in towards turn 10. This is where he's made quite a few double moves. moves this weekend.
This fourth to second once again for Ezoa. See what he does when he runs out onto the curve. The impetus with Carter Thompson as they make their way through 11 and 12. Pratama already exiting 12 before they're out of 11. That's the advantage that our current race leader has now.
Yeah, the same situation there from Ezoa as what we saw a few laps ago whenever he was able to make the 2-for-1 move on the entry to the corner, gives up a spot, but you've still picked off your main championship rival, so all good for Ezoa, who's now managed to get through once again.
Here is your secondary group. We have got Fetasan, who sits in 5th position for the moment. Gunmie tucked in right with him on the number 5. And Rizwanto, I was talking about just a couple of moments ago, the home rider, certainly proving that he has made steps forward during this 2022 campaign, much closer to the front this time around than he was at the Indonesian Grand Prix earlier on in the season, an 8th and a 12th place. And since his summer break, Rizwanto has put in a new personal best with 6th position in Thailand, trying to better that further still. Currently sits in, well, 5th position as he defends it from Gunmie going in towards turn 1 on lap 13. He's run wide. Mie comes through and Rizwanto passed as well. And actually, Fetasan might have cost himself quite a lot of time there. He's going to have to work hard to get back onto the tail of these two, or face being dropped by them for 5th and 6th positions.
Yeah, the problem is once you run offline like that, you put a lot of dirt onto your tyres, and that costs you an awful lot more time as well.
Ezoa, Thompson and Danish still in that order. This works quite nicely as far as Shinya Ezoa is concerned. Rider currently second in the championship standings, who hopes to open up that margin over Hakim Danish, who's had 4 race victories so far in 2022. Oh, big moment there for Ezoa as they make their way under braking in towards turn 10. And that's going to run him offline coming off turn 10, and in towards turn 11 he drops down to 4th position. Just as I was saying, he was looking good ahead of Hakim Danish. He had a big moment there going in towards turn 10.
Yeah, it's easy for it all to change so quickly. This is the move into turn 1 that we saw from Ezoa, and able to get that second spot as it is. He's given up those positions once again to Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine and our championship leader Hakim Danish on the number 13. That is Danish there, just trying to pick his way through this group as much as he can. And as it is right now, though, it is Carter Thompson that's at the front of this group. And you have to say that Thompson's always found a way to get to the front of this group as well. It's been impressive.
Well, the other good thing from a neutral's perspective is that Danish and Ezoa are in the same group here. So each time they are trading places, it is genuinely going to have an impact on the championship standings.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see here for Danish, a good run on the entry
in the standings, the 13-year-old from Japan, and not quite able to find his way back alongside. So Thompson, Danish and Ezoa in that order on the penultimate lap of this race. Pratama now 5.8 seconds clear at the head of the field. Gunmie 3.4 seconds behind them, and still with nothing to choose between him, Rizwanto and Fetasan further back. But the two championship hopefuls locked absolutely level, nose to tail, as they head through once again. The race leader making his way through the exit of turn 10. This is where much of the action has been in this race for second position, and again, with each passing lap, they get closer to contact.
Yeah,
these three.
And Ezoa was right on the limit that time around. That's why Danish has been able to pick off Carter Thompson and also Ezoa, just because they lost so much momentum there, with Ezoa a little bit loose on the entry to the corner, just trying to get that bike stopped.
Thompson gets around Danish now for second position. Ezoa has been bumped back to 4th place. Every corner, one to the next, they're willing to trade places, but turn 10 in particular looks like it's going to be vital on the final lap.
Yeah, turn 10 for the number 21 of Ezoa, that's his key overtaking opportunity, and for Hakim Danish, it's the run down in towards turn 1, and that's where he's been able to use the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Carter Thompson, though, he's been able to make a lot of moves pretty much everywhere around this track. It's just about trying to stay in front of the riders behind him.
Into the final lap now for Veda Pratama, the pole sitter and race leader throughout. You don't always see that in the Asia Talent Cup. He's been able to break away 6.6 seconds clear. It's going to be a big winning margin. Dramas, by the looks of it, further down the order, and that will be right towards the back of the field. So that's Putra and Swain, I think, who were scrapping outside of the point, 16th and 17th places. They're going to be our first 2 retirements. It's not been generally a race of attrition in race 1 of this Indonesian round. It is Veda Pratama who leads us back into second place now. Hakim Dinish, Ezawa relegated to fourth.
Yeah, Ezawa down into turn 10. That's where he's been able to make that double move on quite a few occasions. He's going to have the run down into 10 to make that once again. But is he going to be brave enough to try and pick off both riders? He knows that for his championship standings, he has to get through on Dinish, who's out in front of this group.
Elbows out, I'm sure, in towards turn 10. One of the best remaining overtaking opportunities. He tries to slot alongside Carter Thompson, but can't quite get there. Dinish remains at the head of this three-rider group in pursuit of those podium places. Thompson's run wide and onto the green paint. That could be vital in the post-race analysis. Ezawa comes through on Thompson for third position. And now it's a head-to-head between the two championship rivals. Hakim Dinish, our current series leader, sits up in second place. Shinya Ezawa, second in the standings, desperate to reverse what could be a major point swing here on the final lap. They make their way through the final sector. It's Dinish defending the position. Ezawa, though, has the inside line. That's the place to be through these long right-handers, turns 15 and 16. Thompson trying to go the long way round. They're three abreast. Dinish cuts back to the inside, catches Ezawa by surprise. Ezawa has to stand it up and back out of it. Big moments as he tries to get back on the racing line. The two championship rivals touch. Veda Pratama comes over the line to win his home round in Indonesia. Race one goes to Veda Pratama, second over the line to Carter Thompson, and the two championship rivals cross absolutely level, but it's Hakim Dinish who's given it on the timing ahead of Shinya Ezawa, and that will mean, barring any post-race penalties, potentially for Carter Thompson, as things stand at the moment, we're looking at a 6-point margin between Hakim Dinish and Shinya Ezawa coming into race 2 tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, you wouldn't be too surprised if there is a penalty for Thompson for running out onto the green paint in the exit of turn 10, and that would only extend our race winner, though. Pratama, such an impressive performance. It was eventually an 8-second margin that he was able to claim this win by.
And that's why I was talking about a potential major swing between Dinish and Ezawa, because if it had been the other way around and Ezawa moved up into second position and Dinish in fourth, we'd be talking about a different championship leader going into race 2 tomorrow. The Indonesian fans celebrating with Veda Pratama, your race winner, and a good opportunity for the Indonesian flag to be shown as well.
It's quite the makeshift Indonesian flag there, I think, from the marshals, but
it's a good effort.
It's a solid effort from them, and really impressive from Pratama. We saw him win earlier in the season in Buriram, and he's been able to notch up now 5 podiums as well this season, 2 wins and 3 other podiums, and that's very impressive for the youngest rider in the field. It means that a lot of team managers are going to be keeping an eye on him as well, and certainly you'd be excited to see what his prospects will be like if and when he gets to race in Europe and the ETC as well.
Really unfortunate for Veda Pratama that we didn't get to see him complete the weekend of the Indonesian Grand Prix earlier on this season, because that's a 4th podium in 5 races for him, and you would suggest that if he'd had the points from round number 2, at very least he'd be in the top 3 now, if not potentially still a championship contender.
Yeah, exactly, and it's been such a solid season, but a lot of the times in the ATC it's all well and good to win the championship, and that's obviously the target for everyone, but so many times it's the riders that are 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the standings that actually go on to have a big impact as well, and this is about the high points that you have during the course of the season. How many wins do you have? Your
spell, and no shortage of podiums in recent rounds either. 2 in Thailand and 1 in race 1 in Sepang, and this weekend he misses out in 5th position in race 1. He'll be back to have another go for those podium places tomorrow afternoon. That's a race that could easily have turned out very differently, just the way the field fractured in those early laps.
Yeah, and that can happen around a track like this where the slipstream isn't as important as in some of the other tracks that we visit with the ATC calendar, and it's all about maintaining that momentum. That's what we saw Pratama able to do. He was always able to keep edging out that bit of a lead. Once he was able to open up a half a second, it became a second, and then 2 seconds very quickly, and then from that point on it ended up being an 8-second margin at the flag.
Yes, case in point being Sepang with those nice long straights and hairpins. That works nicely for a big group in the Asia Talent Cup, but here in Indonesia it's a tight and twisty circuit with some high-speed corner entries as well. Good that there's a variety of circuits for the riders to visit over the course of their season.
Yeah, exactly. At Sepang you've got 2 1-kilometre long straights, and here it's 500 metres for the start-finish straight basically, so it isn't about the slipstream battle, it's about your racecraft and being able to scrap with each other without costing yourself time, and the second group, they did cost themselves a lot of time in this race.
Oh, we're going to see the action in the closing stages, and this will be Carter Thompson running wide, perhaps?
Well, for Carter, because he's 4th coming into this, he hasn't gained an advantage from running off track limits earlier in the final lap. and then he's just in a position just to be able to take advantage of the other two riders having their mistakes as well, because they've ran in a bit too hot. For Hakim Danish in the number 13, he was very lucky to hold that one on, and that was the difference between finishing third and picking up 13 points and picking it up off the deck.
And Ezawa even catching the protector in the rear of Danish's bike as he tries to come across the line alongside number 3 as far as he is concerned, but 3 of them in the last 4 races, so he's coming on strong in the closing stages of the season. Yeah,
and it was the same in the ETC as well for him in Europe. In the final rounds of the year, he was able to get himself up into the top 10 and finish that season quite strongly as well. So for Carter Thompson, there's a lot to look forward to, more than just tomorrow's final race of the season.
It'll be Veda Pratama who will be celebrating a second race victory of the season. Only came into the championship as a wild card with 3 starts here in Indonesia at the end of last year. So it's a full calendar year now since he started in the Asia Talent Cup among the younger riders in the field, as we've said. So for him to come on as strongly as he has in the second half of this Asia Talent Cup, with the second places in Thailand and Malaysia, the race wins in Thailand and now here in Indonesia, Veda Pratama very much proving himself.
Yeah, he's really shown himself to be a rider worth keeping an eye on, and certainly he will be a rider that next season in the ATC, I think everyone's going to be keeping one eye on.
So our podium trio, Hakim Danish is first up, then Carter Thompson into second. And Veda Pratama certainly looks very happy with life, and all of the celebrations with the Indonesian flags and so on will have certainly contributed to that.
Yeah, why wouldn't he be happy with himself with that second race victory of the season?
Well, it looks as though the home fans, are going to be able to celebrate with your race winner, Veda Pratama, in just a couple of moments' time. Hakim Danish is the first rider to receive the trophy on the podium.
Yeah, Carter Thompson will get his second place trophy, and then Pratama, our race winner, in such impressive style as well. And Thompson on that good run of form, another podium for him and moving up into 5th in the championship standings. But you have to say, on a day like this, it's all about the home hero Pratama able to claim his second win of the Asia Talent Cup season.
And it is Veda Pratama who is your race winner. The trophy about to be presented to him. Second race victory in 2022. And as I said, only a year since he made his debut here in Indonesia. A home round for him and redemption after his qualifying crash in round 2 of the season. And the national anthem continues on, sung by the spectators here at the Mandalika International Circuit. An opportunity for the Indonesian fans to celebrate a home winner.